Welcome.
Brain spleen.
Yeah, where I explain to strangers about the brain.
Cool.
It's my excuse to tell people who aren't psychiatrists about what the newest research is in psychiatry. So I'll take a journal article and I'll explain what it says, why it's relevant, and try to put it in terms that people understand.
And you're doing it because most psychiatrists probably aren't able to articulate in
Well,
a way that a layperson would understand.
eventually that'll be my line, but right now it's because I don't know how to articulate.
Okay, great. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So you need some practice in doing that.
Exactly,
Great,
yes.
great.
So, the research that I want to tell you now is about schizophrenia and people who go off their meds. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
I bet you've seen it as a pastor.
I actually had an experience with that in my vicarage year down in Florida, which is a 1-year internship. Yeah.
What was that?
Young lady who went off her meds and then committed a horrible crime. Yeah, actually killed both of her parents.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I was privileged to go visit her in jail when they had an open window for people to go visit. And she just wanted to know if she was forgiven or not. So, yeah, scary stuff. When you feel better, you feel like I can do it without. And yeah.
Yeah. So it turns out that these medications protect people from having a relapse of psychosis, committing crimes, or just being out of touch with reality and being scared. But they're not perfect.
Right.
So this study that just came out was studying 7,000 people between 1994 and 2014 who were first given a diagnosis of schizophrenia after they had had one admission to the hospital for psychosis. And the researchers looked at data from insurance companies in Finland to find out what people ended up going back to the hospital. How effective were the drugs was the question, and what happens if somebody discontinues? And this wasn't unexpected. Being on the medications helps.
Yes.
It turns out that 71% of the people who stayed on their medications stayed out of the hospital. 62% of the people who discontinued their medications stayed out of the hospital. Now, people who have recurring episodes of psychosis are probably far less likely to stay out of the hospital. But people who have just one psychotic break have a really difficult choice in front of them. People don't like these medications. They cause weight gain, they cause movement disorders, and there's a strong temptation to stay off the medications. But it's playing Russian roulette. What was found in this study was a little bit disappointing. The longer you stay on the medications, the more likely you are to relapse if you do discontinue.
Wow. So out of 7,000, 71% improved, 62% when they went off still improved. It's a little surprising that the 62% isn't a little lower, actually. I would expect that to be lower. But since it's with a group that has had only one episode, I guess I can understand that.
And it might even be true that the diagnosis is given mistakenly of schizophrenia. So schizophrenia is usually thought of as a disease that's with you for life. But if you have one psychotic break, or admitted one time, it just might be that you had psychosis. You were hearing voices, seeing things that weren't there, were paranoid for a reason other than this disease.
The other interesting question for me would be, what kind of treatment were they getting besides the medication in the study? Were all the 7,000 people in the study giving the same? Were they going through the same counseling regimen, or were some going through that and others not? And did that have any impact, or was this study just on the medication?
Most studies would have that information, because most studies follow people starting from the beginning of the study to the end. But this is a study of insurance company data, so we actually don't know what therapies they were getting in addition to the medications, and we also don't know what effect these medications had on their quality of life, or other data about their quality of life. Just whether or not they were readmitted.
And when was the study conducted?
1994 to 2014.
Okay, yeah, that's right, 20 years.
Yeah. So
wow, over 20 years. That's a significant amount of time.
A significant amount of time and a lot of people. So
Yeah, right? That's the key with studies.
It is, but the downside is they weren't able to get that fine-grained information that you rightly hone in on as being really relevant.
Yeah. Well, that's where you can do the next study.
Right. Well, we're raising some money from Brainsplain
All right.
subscribers.
Awesome.
Jeff,
Awesome.
thank you very much.
Morgan, it was wonderful to meet you.
Really was.
Yeah.